Greetings! In this video, we'll be talking about topic 6.3 of the AP curriculum, AP Chemistry curriculum, heat transfer and thermal equilibrium. So when we talk about thermal, we're always talking about heat, and equilibrium has to do with balance, finding some type of balance. And so with thermal equilibrium, we're going to talk about how heat can transfer, how heat can go from one place to another in order to achieve that heat, that temperature balance, that heat balance. So let's dive in. First off, when we talk about hot versus cold, hot means that you have particles that have a high average kinetic energy. And cold means that a substance that has low kinetic energy. Obviously, these are relative to one another. Something could seem very cold to you, but be very warm compared to something else that's even colder. So these are relative terms. Something that is hotter has higher kinetic energy particles. Something that is colder has lower kinetic energy particles on average. And this has to do with the definition of temperature. If you recall, temperature is equal to the average kinetic energy of the particles of a substance. Particles of a substance. So some particles will be moving faster, some will be moving slower in a substance, but the average kinetic energy is what we define as temperature. So something that's hot will have a higher temperature, something that's cold will have a lower temperature because of higher kinetic energy versus lower kinetic energy. So if two substances are in thermal contact with one another, somehow they're interacting with one another. So let's just put them in direct contact. So we have some hot object and it's directly in contact. Let's change colors here with something that is cold. The hot substance has particles that are moving faster, or have at least higher kinetic energy. The cold substance, those particles have less kinetic energy, which means they're probably moving slower. Mass comes into play with kinetic energy, but typically faster versus slower particles. So if two substances are touching each other, how do you think the temperature is going to, or the energy is going to change? Do you think energy is going to be transferred from hot to cold, or do you think energy is going to be transferred from cold to hot? Hopefully you said that energy would be transferred from hot to cold because the fast moving molecules are going to give up some of their kinetic energy as they collide with the slower moving molecules, and that energy is going to be transferred from the fast moving to the slow moving molecules. Think about two pool balls. If you have one pool ball and another pool ball, and you hit a fast moving pool ball into the into the stationary pool ball, the stationary one is going to move faster. The moving one is going to move slower, but overall the energy stays constant. The overall energy stays constant. So energy is going to be lost by the hot molecules to the slow molecules. The slow molecules will move faster, the fast moving molecules will move slower, and eventually you're going to reach what's called thermal equilibrium, where both of these substances are now the same temperature, which is the hot's going to be cooler, the cold's going to be warmer. Now they've reached thermal equilibrium, where they both have the exact same temperature. A couple of things here. Energy always moves from hot to cold, always. And the two substances in contact, if they remain in contact, they will each achieve thermal equilibrium and have the same temperature. This is going to come into play when we talk about calorimetry and putting hot substances into cold substances, or reactions that produce energy and raise the temperature of water and lose energy themselves. So these are concepts that aren't necessarily things you'll think about independently, but they're more going to have applications with other topics that we talk about. If you have any questions about this, please let me know, and I'd be happy to help you out. Good luck.